So it's May the 1st. That means it's time to go around and see how the garden's doing this month. Lots of things coming up. We're moving. The year gets more and more exciting as we go. So yeah, let's get started. Hopefully this won't be too long of a tour. Just kind of the highlights of what's going on and what we've done the past few weeks that may have been missed. And we'll start here in the main garden. Got some new kales and lettuces and stuff going in here that are going. It's a variety of stuff. I won't even try to say individually, but you can see there's a lot of kale, a lot of leafy greens. I'm over here to our bed where we planted up parsnips and carrots and radish. Well, radishes are over there, and beets and all that, and that stuff seems to be doing pretty good. Not even a lot of weeding that needs to go on in here. But yeah, all that stuff kind of seems to be coming along this year. Hopefully it won't be too long. Here on the other side of that trellis, you can see the peas are getting a good start. Starting to climb the trellis really well. These radishes that are planted down here they're coming up, they're green, but we're not seeing a lot of activity with them. Not seeing any of the actual bodies of the radish. Same thing here. This is mostly radish. The cucumbers have not gone in yet. They should be going in here before too long. There's not any predicted close to freezing nights ahead in our forecast, and we're well past our last frost date, so we're going to start getting some more things out. I'll show you all that in a minute. Here we planted some more lettuces and stuff, some herbs down at the end. That stuff that overwintered or came back is doing well. The red vein sorrel is doing fantastic, as you can see. This is like a Chinese cabbage. I've cooked it a few times. Mostly I've just been picking off the flowers. So it doesn't go to seed like that. But it's pretty good. And a stir fry with a few other things as well. The strawberry bed that we redid, we're really happy with it. There's been a few instances of grass coming up in the straw now. We've just been weeding it as it comes. It's nowhere near as bad as it was last year with grass in the straw. So, you can see we're already getting flowers on the strawberries. I'll net all this here in the next week or two because these are all June bearing and they'll probably start fairly soon. So that's something that we're looking forward to. It looks like it's going to be a good strawberry crop this year, just maybe a little late starting. Over here, the cilantro is doing well. We have also started planting some of the tomato plants in here. They're a little hard to see. We got plenty of tomato plants. Like I said, we don't have, that's the German pink. We don't have any predicted cold weather coming anytime soon. It looks like we might be done with frost this year, hopefully. If we do have one, we've got plenty of other tomatoes to go in here, but we thought to go ahead and get started the way things are looking. And what we did with these beds too is on the ends here where nothing was planted, is we planted a lot of salad crops in all three of these tomato beds here. So there'll be some salad crops. By the time the tomatoes start to grow in, it'll be much warmer and they'll need the shade. Get out of that. What are you doing? Get out of that pot. As you can see, I have my helper who is helping, she thinks. Quit. Get out of the pot. Out of the pot. Go on. Go on. Go on. Go on. Go on. Go on. Go. Go. And then don't go in my pond either. Don't go in my pond either. You're going to go in. But here we have the cherry tomato bed. Again, this year we planted all cherry tomatoes in here. That's in part so that you can see. Which one's this one? That's the Sunrise Bumble cherry tomato. But, we always plant cherry tomatoes in here, and there's always volunteers in here as well. So that way, even our volunteers are cherries, hopefully, in here. So the new varieties, we'll talk about them as things grow and get bigger, and we know they're going to survive. But all cherries in here again. Again, that top end of the bed, really technically the actually it is the northern end of the bed. Has some salad crops in it. As these tomato plants grow larger, they will cover the salad crop. But like I said, tomato plants in here, the nasturtiums are coming up in the corners. That's our trap crop. Nasturtiums really good for keeping insects from eating your tomatoes as badly. And since you caught a glimpse of it while I was not yelling at the dog, here's how the pond is doing. I'm really happy with how it's doing right now. Still not the final way we're going to do the cover, but I replaced my hammock over there, and I took the old one over here and draped it over the screening, to provide shade. As I said, I'm not worried about water getting that top basin. That's fine, but I want a place that's definitely shaded and a little separate from the pond for them. The idea is, if I have time, we're either going to try and do some daub and daub this all up so it looks like a cave, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some cuttings and some limbs and brush that I'll be trimming up later in the year and kind of build like a little hut there. But this looks better than just having the screen, so that's what we did for now. I separated the other day. I separated a bunch of the water cannas, and they're doing real well in their separate pots. As you can see, the water celery, which is that there that you see almost everywhere. There it is in the pot with some horsetail. The water celery is doing fantastic. The horsetail is doing really well. I'm really happy with how the horsetail has been. As you can see, the water is real clear. That's through a combination of the hornwort and then all the other plants, and we're starting to get our lilies coming up in the from down there. There's 2 lilies down there. I'll probably have to separate one of them for next year. And eventually this whole surface will be covered with lilies. It'll help keep the pond cooler. It'll give the insects a place to land and get water. And you may or may not have seen that motion, but there are at least 4 frogs in here, where they were last time I counted. And so that's going well. Really happy with the pond. It's almost impossible, like I said before, it's almost impossible to get one exactly how you want, but it's almost impossible to ruin it for wildlife, which is really one of the main goals. We're still going to add some more rock and stuff. Do some stuff here. My plantings that I put in are coming up. Looking forward to that. Planted these 2 guys. We made a short trip to the nursery. We're making a longer one this weekend. We planted these 2 guys on the ends, and there's going to be some stuff get planted in the middle of them. What are they called? I forget what they're called. That's why we have tags. Get it in the camera. There we go. Oh yeah, the word I can't pronounce, Ex Martini. But they're real pretty. I think they'll be good. They're kind of at the ends, framing the garden. That's the idea, that they will frame the garden pond, and there'll be some things planted in between them as we clean all that up. Get out of there! Get out of there! Come on. We're back. Kyra needed some supervision and some recommendations on her helping. I'll show you the blueberries. Some of them are doing really well. This one does great because of the fact that this is the one that every year I always water it. I forget to water the others sometimes. So this one always gets water. Looks like it's going to do really well. I got to get some reflective tape and put on here to help keep the birds away. That worked for the blackberries really well. I didn't put it directly on the blueberries last year, so it didn't work as well. But I think it'll be fine this year. So looking forward. Looks like this one is going to have quite the blueberry crop this year. So real excited for that. Also, I'm sure you saw it. But at this point, this giant fennel that we keep letting grow every year for the past 3 or 4 years deserves its own update. And looks like, again, it's going to take over this section of the garden. So there you go. So now we're here in the greenhouse. As you can see, I got the fan and the solar running. Someone forgot to turn the fan on. That's why it's extra hot in here. As I said before, there were plenty of start. Melons, tomatoes, flowers, herbs. We got lots in here to give away, to replace anything that goes bad. Haven't determined where our secondary tomato bed is going to be. Maybe the same place as last year, maybe not. But it's a full house in here that really kind of needs to get moved on. Oh, those are lupins. Pretty sure those are lupins. Lots of flowers that are probably going to come out. We need to plant up. I'll show you some of the other stuff we did here with the greenhouse on the outside. So here's where we started extending the beds. You know, we got lots coming back from last year up front, but we extended on down to the extended section of the greenhouse. Got the solar set up. That has worked pretty well. We were gone late one night and it ran into the night and the battery got a little too dead. But it seems like during the day, as long as the sun's up, it charges the battery enough to run the fan all day. We'll probably add another panel here soon, just to be safe and for those cloudy days. And just for consistency, the other side of the greenhouse again, we extended the bed, take up the whole of the greenhouse, and we'll be planting that up hopefully this weekend. The bed that we planted squash in last year, we're planting squashes in again. We've also got flowers on the other side. I pulled up the cattle panel that was here and used it for some other things because we didn't really need it for this. But we had a ton of squashes last year once it started producing, and we're looking forward to that. So we're looking at the Jerusalem artichokes. This one bed is really full. I cut around it the other day and there's some escaping. This bed is the one that we definitely harvested the most from last year, and we had some friends who they watered the garden for me, so I let them come and they got a lot of things. They got more than just Jerusalem artichokes, but I was like, oh yeah, come and take as much as you want of those if you want them, and they did. And we picked out of this bed too. So this year it'll probably be this bed that gets taken the most out of. The asparagus are going strong. Taking them pretty much every day or every other day so they don't become frondy. But yeah, so still asparagus for days for the next month or two. So a lot of flowers coming back in here, the marigolds, the dahlias, that ice plant, which is, what is that, silver something? I can't read it from here and I'm not going to walk over there and see. But that one's doing well. This has been successful. We moved all the tomato boxes on the inside of the fence this year, and I think the plan is the next weekend that I can get some compost is we're going to cut all this real short and extend this flower bed on down to the gate. And then next year, I think we're going to be putting up a trellis there at the gate and planting some climbing roses and stuff, but that's next year. There's always stuff for next year. But that's the plan with this area moving forward. But right now, yeah, we're happy with what's coming back here. And of course, as I pointed out before, this ground cover plant that I bought is doing exactly what I wanted it to do, and kind of growing out and around. And then another plant that we bought when we were at the nursery, I picked up. Again, what's the name? He didn't want me to put this one in front. This is the Garura, and it will grow to about 3 feet high. And the same thing, about 3 feet, you know, like a 3-foot footprint going around as far as those things go. I can't remember if this is a perennial or not, but I suppose we'll find that out next year. Doesn't really say on the information thing. It doesn't really matter. This is like my experiment bed. I've still got some work to do here. But yeah, this is kind of hopefully going to be the centerpiece for this bed this year. I do like to want to be able to change it up in here some. So, me back again. So, obviously, I just checked, and yes, it is a perennial, so it should come back hopefully every year. I'm hoping. So, that'll be good. And it's also a plant that's really good for pollinators. Things are still coming to life in the shade garden. But stilbies are coming up. Lots of the hostas are coming up. I have not seen any returns of the ferns here. It needs some weeding, obviously. But a lot of the shrubs are coming back. The deer aren't eating on them. Kukras are coming back real well. You know, so it's coming along. It's still early for the shade garden. It only really recently became the shade garden again because I only recently did the leaves grow back in above it. But feel pretty good about what's come back. I was real worried in the beginning. But a lot of good stuff's coming back, and we can kind of see where we need to pop some things in, some empty places. Fruit trees are real leafy. This peach, it gets this in some spots every year. It's like a leaf rot. I'm gonna have to come through and pick them all off, but I won't bore you with that right now. That fig's coming back pretty strong. Most of these are coming back pretty strong. The plums, you can see that the dappled willow is starting to change color. The two places where I stuck it in the ground, they seem to be taking. So we'll see how that propagation goes. The apple trees are doing well, putting on a lot of foliage. They have flowers. I'm not sure how much got pollinated, but I'm hoping it's enough. Maybe we'll get one. We come really close last year to getting an apple off this guy. So we'll see. The other thing to show you is last year I let the red clover go to seed, and that seemed to work out in some places at least. Lots of crimson clover coming up that we did not seed, which is good. I'm going to let this go to seed before I cut it again. I'll probably come really through the front with maybe the weed eater in some spots that need to be cut down, but I don't want to risk cutting any of that clover, so I'm going to have to be real careful about that. The bearded irises are starting to bloom, so that will be the next few weeks, our pop of color. And I'll show you, this azalea is just gorgeous right now. All the azaleas are blooming really well, but this one looks the best. That one's blooming. As you can see, it's kind of a unconventional pruning for those two. Those are the two, unless you really wanted to go back and watch old videos, I would have explained then that for the first 2 years I lived here, we thought this was one azalea bush until I put in like the bordering, and we had a lot of wood chipping here at one point, and I went to trim it and realized that there was two of them that were planted too close together. They still put off beautiful blooms. It's just they are an unconventional shape, and maybe this year we'll get around to seeing if we can get them shaped a little better. But I'd rather have the blooms to enjoy and for the pollinators to enjoy than I would have this be a pretty perfect shape. That's my priority. A lot of times gardening is about priorities, and that's my priority with this. The gravel garden's coming back. We seeded a lot in here too, but a lot of stuff is coming back in the gravel garden. Really looking forward to that. The transformation this has been. Again, you probably wouldn't know it, but this all used to be gravel. Someone tried to extend this driveway, and probably about half of this used to be gravel, and I covered it up with cardboard and compost and just started throwing seeds in there, and I've made it bigger for a couple years, and that's where we're at with it. All the grapes are doing pretty well. Definitely won't get grapes off this vine. We may get grapes off our oldest vine. I think we're on year 3 or 4 with this vine. We'll see. I'm not super optimistic about it this year. The next year I will be. I think it'll be about time if we haven't by then. So, but the grapes still continue. The kiwis is still kind of to be seen. And lastly, as always, we'll go around the keyhole garden. Things are coming out in bloom and coming up. That is a new addition. We'll look at it in a minute. As we walk around the back, the sorrel is coming back here as well. The Persian blue catnip is coming back. Oh, real quick before I forget, You know, the tea rose, the little teacup rose is doing really well. I actually got in here and cut all this back, and then got in here and like hand weeded this, and I thought a lot more of this was weeds than it actually was. It actually wasn't that much weeds and vines in it once I pulled it apart by hand and separated it. So it's doing really well, and that's why I put some fresh compost around it, and then I mulched it really well to hopefully keep things from growing into it this year. We can really enjoy it. But yes, the keyhole is coming along. The storm cloud is coming back, actually starting to get flowers. I was worried about that. And then this is a new addition, the Indian feather, was it Beliza dark pink. I'm looking forward to that. Originally, I wanted to plant it behind the storm cloud, but I think there'll be an interesting contrast here between that blue and that pink as the year goes on. And, you know, that's kind of the state of most things at the beginning of May here. I look forward to having a lot more going on throughout the month. You know, we'll be trying to do videos weekly on specific things. I hope you enjoyed this. If not, I don't know why you watched this long. God bless. But yeah, that's where we're at the 1st of May in the year of our insanity 2025. So thanks for watching.